like I said too, I wonder how many people I talk to over the phone and talk to in person who've had these encounters. Like the details are changing, and no, I mean, and then at some point it's just gonna be like maybe it was all just a dream. It's just it's crazy like that. But one of the things that kind of
Is that someone, are they still standing there, or something throwing something at that tree? Because that's happened 3 times now.
those are rocks hitting the same tree.
Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. I just wanted to quickly address my last video with the footprints. Everything that is going on in that video is going to be explained in depth in the next Expedition Sasquatch movie that's going to be on YouTube in like less than a week. A lot of weird stuff happened that night, and I recently went out there again with Keenan from the Alberta Sasquatch Organization and Josh, who is a local Bigfoot enthusiast from Edmonton who runs the Squatch YouTube channel. We had a pretty fun night of investigating that area. You know, we even had like a thermal camera, and Josh brought a night vision binocular, so it was really cool. And we did have some weird things happen, and the most significant thing was a potential rock or pebble throwing incident, which I'm sharing with you tonight. So I'm first going to show you like just the segments of what we think are the pebbles hitting a tree, just cut together each one in a row, and then after that I'm just going to play the full clip. But it was very strange. We were just talking, I was kind of interviewing Keenan, and he was telling me about like one of his experiences, and then we started talking about like Alberta Sasquatch, and while we're talking these things are happening, and it's like once we stopped talking and started focusing on these noises, it just stopped, which was really weird. And these rocks were hitting a tree that we had just done tree knocks on, so it was really strange, and we didn't hear anything moving around in the bush, which is kind of strange, but we'll let you guys be the judge of the video. We suspect maybe pebbles or branches being thrown at the tree, but have no idea. There was no tracks in the area, there was no physical evidence of anything being there. So I don't know. And it also could be natural. It could just be twigs breaking off the tree or branches falling, but we didn't see anything like that. So we'll let you have a look at the clip.
But it still all felt really real. And but watching that, what that's done for me is when I do listen to a lot of these other witnesses, I've talked to them on the phone, I've gone back and forth with them about in emails and stuff, but you especially see it in person and on the phone. As they like they're trying to communicate with certainties, so they don't look like, I think this happened or whatever. That's not, that's not how they want to communicate. So, in the woods or whatever. And we like to think, oh, it's a trauma, it's ingrained in your brain, it's the most vivid, lucid thing that you have, possibly in your mind. But that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is that those memories change and fade and stuff. Like I said too, I wonder how many people I talk to over the phone and talk to in person who've had these encounters. Like the details are changing, and no, I mean, and then at some point it's just gonna be like maybe it was all just a dream. It's just it's crazy like that. But one of the things that kind of
Is that someone, are they still standing there, or something throwing something at that tree? Because that's happened 3 times now.
those are rocks hitting the same tree.
Are they rocks?
Or something.
Because something's breaking, or
Like it's just becoming a little bit hazier and stuff like that. Like I don't remember the details as well. Like, and that was only 2 years ago. That wasn't even 2 years ago yet. It's a year and a half.
Well, me and Sonia were talking about happenings like that, where they almost seem like dreamlike, but not so much.
Yeah.
And it's happened to her, it's happened to me, it's happened to you. Like, I don't know if it seemed like totally like real, or if it had like an element where you're like half asleep, kind of.
Well, the first hand that grabbed me, I was half asleep. Right. I was half asleep the first time I got grabbed through my tent. But I still remember, even on the first time that it grabbed me, like the grip was still on my head when I pulled my head forward, and I had to pull it out of its, out of its grip. That was pretty interesting. And then I was up on my shoulders in my tent, and I mean, so I was in like a semi-reclined position, and then after 20, 30, 40 seconds, the hand came back and grabbed me again for 45 seconds, a minute maybe. And then I had to pull my head out of it again as it's, palpating around my scalp. And so the second one was was what solidified it for me. But after 2 years, like, you know, it's almost like I'm slowly chiseling away at my own belief in what happened. But for like that, it ruined that whole day for me because it was so real, and it was real. But like every certain number of months, certain aspects of like my details of the memory stuff, they just kind of become clouded. And I don't know if that's like myself protecting myself from
just
from
natural.
it's a trauma though, right? It is a trauma. And but one thing about, like, in my experience of watching my own memories kind of fade and change, you know, I couldn't tell you which direction the moon was in, or, you know, exactly where my truck was parked and stuff like that. But it still all felt really real. And but watching that, what that's done for me is when I do listen to a lot of these other witnesses, I've talked to them on the phone, I've gone back and forth with them about in emails and stuff, but you especially see it in person and on the phone. As they are recalling something that happened to them 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, like they're trying to communicate with certainties, so they don't look like, you know, I think this happened or whatever. You know, that's not, you know, that's not how they want to communicate. So, but when I think of my memory and I think of how the details or slight details are changing in my head, and I even find like between 1 year of telling the story that like I think I've mentioned a little detail differently this year than I did last year. If I do that every consecutive year for the next 5 years, am I still even telling the same story? I'm sticking to the same path, but I'm, you know, like the little stuff changes. And I wonder how much of that happens with other people. Because a lot of the times what they're describing as well is a trauma, you know, a traumatic memory of coming face to face with one of these things in the woods or whatever. And we like to think, oh, it's a trauma, it's ingrained in your brain, it's the most vivid, lucid thing that you have, you know, possibly in your mind. But that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is that those memories change and fade and stuff. So one of the things about like John Green and Renee DeHinden is they used to grill Albert Osman about his story, and they'd go back after months, after weeks, after years, whatever, and they'd have him retell the story. And then they're always looking for that aha, gotcha, like you said its palms were gray, and this time you said its palms were black. Your whole story is bullshit, you know? And that was just so vicious. But like I said too, I wonder how many people I talk to over the phone and talk to in person who've had these encounters. Like the details are changing, and no, I mean, and then, you know, at some point it's just gonna be like, maybe it was all just a dream. It's just it's crazy like that. But one of the things that kind of,
is that someone? Are they still standing there, or something throwing something at that tree? Because that's happened 3 times now.
Those are rocks hitting the same tree.
Are they rocks?
Or something.
Because something's breaking, or is it Josh and Wade?
Josh!
Are
Are you guys throwing stuff at us?
No.
How far are you guys?
I'm not sure where.
I'm right here. I'm looking this way.
Something's hitting this tree right beside us.
It's like pebbles, like 3 or 4 times now, knocking off this tree.
Let's wait and see if it happens again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Like fairly distinct impact.
We're having a meaningful conversation about Albert Osman. Weird spot for that to be happening in between us.
But
It would be coming from...
originally I thought it was like a twig snap,
I know, that's what I thought too, but it happened 3 times.
like a pebble.
I just heard a squirrel
Yeah,
over
like
there.
where you knocked, we've had like 3 or 4 pebbles bounce off this, this one that snapped up at the 8 or 9 foot range. Now that we're paying attention, it's stopped, but it was continuous for a second there.
We were just acting normal and
Yeah.
bullshitting.
How about we walk down to the river and just start talking?
Okay,
Just right where those guys were knocking.
Just before we go, I'm just going to swap a tape here, okay? I have to swap tapes. Because I'm old school and I shoot on tape.